Are we live? Are we live? Welcome in, everybody. I am so excited for today's class. This is a free class for our community, but it is such an important class because today I'm teaching you about your development. I'm teaching you about your chakras and your energy field and how your energy field develops over the course of your life. Welcome in. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're excited too. I have you for the next hour, and our focus is on something that everybody has. Every single one of you has an energy field. Every single one of you has your 7 chakras in your vertical column, what we call the Sushumna. And that's a word that comes from the Vedas, which are the oldest spiritual texts that we have on this planet. So if you're here to learn about health and vitality and desire and creativity and manifestation and love and everything, you are in the right place at the right time. How are you? And happy Earth Day. That's right. You know, for me, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, I struggle with Earth Day. I struggle with April 22nd being the day each year that we stop and say, oh, happy Earth Day. Oh yeah, we've got this incredible planet and Mother Gaia. For me, every day is Earth Day. Yesterday was Earth Day. Tomorrow will be Earth Day. But for those of you who don't think of every day as Earth Day, I'm grateful that you have a day to kind of focus on this womb that we all came from, to which we shall all return one day, right? So if you haven't taken a moment to give thanks to our Mama Gaia, today's a great day to do that. I live so close to this planet. And lately, I have been on a profound health journey in my own life. I'll be honest, for the first year of COVID, because I'm Greek, maybe not, I found a lot of comfort in food. I ate too much. Can I get an amen in the house? I was eating and snacking and not taking good care of my body and eating processed foods and like the things that, are fun to eat. And for the last month, I've been really focusing on eating only foods that are close to the earth. In other words, not processed, not recombined with other things. And so for me, the last month has been Earth Day. If you looked at every meal I've eaten, you'd be like, salad? Yeah, it's from this planet. Fresh vegetables? Yes, they're from this planet, not processed. You know what? Some good lean protein, right? Yeah, that's from this planet. That's whole, and I've been making my own food, and I feel better than I have felt in a year because I'm eating real food and not processed food and things that are unnatural. So anyway, well, what else was there to do? I know. And I will say, when I'm stressed, I don't eat well. It's like Cheetos for lunch, maybe some Cheetos for dinner. But I haven't done that, and I feel so good. My digestion is on point. My sleep is better. I have more energy. I can manage stress better. And I have to say, I don't feel like I'm suffering because I've been making my own homemade salad dressing with Dijon mustard and balsamic, aged balsamic vinegar and really fresh, extra virgin olive oil. And I've been experimenting with salts, using some different kinds of sea salt and French salt. And anyway, it's amazing what you can do with food that brings you closer to the earth. So I have been eating better, and that's been part of my celebration of Earth Day too. If it looks like it would have come from the earth in that form, it's probably good to put in your body. Eat closer to the earth if you want to know the truth. It's funny because people ask me sometimes, what do you eat or what do you not eat? And it's one of like the number one, if you look at YouTube, what the like most popular videos are, what do people eat or not eat in a day? I will tell you, if you can eat food that is close to the form that it came from, you're gonna get healthy, truly. And I've been making my own chocolate, I've been making my own desserts and things, so you're not suffering, right? And what's interesting is this is also true for our stones. If you work with your stones sometimes in their natural form, they can bring you even closer to the earth. They can ground you, they can stabilize your energy, right? Like they can calm and neutralize the central nervous system, right? Whole food diet, man, I'm telling you. Don't, and my thing is I can't deprive myself, because if I feel deprived, I'm gonna cheat. So if I feel like, oh, all I want is ice cream and I can't have it, then I'm gonna cheat. But if I make my own ice cream and it's super yummy, then I'm not tempted anymore, right? Anyway, this isn't a diet class, but I'm just sharing with you. It's Earth Day, and I think the most beautiful way to celebrate our Earth is to eat as close to her as we can. I know. Well, you know what though? You wish it was less expensive? I'll tell you this. Try frozen. Truly. Try frozen vegetables. It's amazing what you can do with a little frozen lean chicken and some frozen vegetables with the right seasonings. I'm a huge seasoning person. So grow your own oregano. I grow my own oregano. Grow your own thyme. I grow it. Grow your own garlic. I grow it. I grow your own rosemary. I grow it. And then dry it and put it in little spice jars in your cabinet, and then get frozen chicken, frozen lean meat, frozen vegetables. Make your own stir fries. I promise you there's a way to do this that is not expensive. And your health almost depends on it. I see a lot of people say, oh, I can't eat healthy because it's too expensive. But if you grow your own herbs and you buy frozen when things are on sale, I promise you can do this in an affordable way. All of my herbs are free because I grow them. And you can grow them in your kitchen in the window. You can grow them from seed. It costs 50 cents to get a packet of seeds of basil and thyme and rosemary. Like, if you really want to do this, I almost feel like there's no excuse, because you can do it in any way that works for you, but I want to encourage you. It's super, super healthy for you to consider going in a different route. So it's just my 2 cents. If you want to get healthier, there is a way to do it. Today's class is actually not about that, but I'm glad we talked about it, because it's all about your health, right? Your chakras. If you're here today, it's probably because you want to experience greater health, right? Oh, and look, I'm here with some information. I actually thought about doing a cooking show. Would you guys be interested in my cooking show? And let me ask, this is an authentic question, okay? Would you be interested in a cooking show that I do? I am not a professional chef. I am not professionally trained. I have a beautiful kitchen, and I've learned a lot over the years because my family was in the restaurant business. But my recipes are easy and cheap and fun and healthy. So I can't promise you it would be like Food Network stuff, because that's not me. I don't have professional team with me. I don't have any of that. But honestly, if you told me I could have all of that, I don't want it. I'm a mom, I'm busy, I don't have a lot of time, and I can't afford a lot of money for my meals. So it would have to be, when I cook, it's easy, it's cheap, and it's fun. Okay, but it's loving, and it's full of intention, and it's full of energy, but I am not a gourmet chef, so I just wouldn't want to put that out there. Okay, I'm gonna do it then. As I learned how to cook from my mom and my grandmother, who were super home cooks, you know what I mean? It's like, it was not fancy food. If you're looking for fancy or like Michelin rated or whatever, you'd be so disappointed. But it is home cooking with a lot of love. I will work on that. Well, because my literary agent would love for me to do a cookbook, and I thought, well, but I'm just simple. It's not super fancy. So, okay, if you're here for it, I'll work on that. If you've got garlic and some really good extra virgin olive oil and a little bit of salt, I can cook with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, listen, frozen broccoli is where it's at, right? It is real. It would be very real with you. Okay, good. Well, if you're open to that, I will do something. I just wouldn't want you to expect Food Network and then see Athena and go, this is real, not Food Network. And I would be like, I don't have a Food Network team. Okay, good. And you're probably a lot of you are better cooks than I am, so it would make you feel really good about that yourself too. You'd be like, look, I'm better than her. A magical cookbook, right? Okay, well, I love that. And I think a lot of us who learned from our moms and our grandmas are actually really good cooks, but when then we see these Food Network people with fancy schmancy, and we're like, I don't know if I can do that kind of thing. You know what I'm going to tell you about olive oil? And then we'll get into chakras. People say this brand, that brand is better. Extra virgin olive oil, in my experience, is extra virgin olive oil. It needs to be golden green. If it isn't golden green, you don't have really good quality EVOO, okay? But if it's golden green, it's good enough. I will tell you, I have tried every extra virgin olive oil there is on the planet, and I've gone back to the basics because more is not better, expensive is not better, and so make sure it's nice and green and golden green, your EVOO, your extra virgin olive oil, and move on. But don't spend a bunch of money there because I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. And ghee, I love ghee. I'll teach you. A nice cold pressed, extra virgin. Yes, Robin Jensen, this class is about chakras, darling, and you probably are like, why are you talking about olive oil? You know why I'm talking about olive oil, Robin? And I haven't started talking about chakras yet. Because what you eat is who you are. And we are going to talk about your chakras today. But how you fuel your system has as much to do with how you feel as your energy. What you eat is who you are. And so I'm always reminding you, like, treat your whole body, right? Not just your energy field. If you're eating foods that are processed and not good for you, you're going to have chakra blockages. And that's why if I ever do teach a cooking class, it's going to be because you need to eat better too. Right? It's not just how you feel or how you think, but it's what goes into your body that produces the results, right? That's right. Your body is your temple, Angela Carter. I love it. So anyway, thank you for being here today. So this is a class on chakra development. Do I have my little... This is the class you signed up for, right? Free Ages of Chakra Development class. So if you came to this channel for that class, you are here for the right reasons. And I'm glad that you're here. Okay. I am going to be teaching you basic psychology today. And I hope that's okay with you because it's all related. You ready for my thesis of this class, what this class is all about? How you think about your body and your health and how you work with energy is all connected, okay? In 1943, a very important psychologist, Maslow, created what we call the hierarchy of needs. Daniel's here for the psychology, and I love that, Daniel. Okay? And that's like, this is my area. By the way, if you're a psychologist, a psychiatrist, somebody who's been through a curriculum of psychology for whatever reason, what I'm about to tell you is repeat for you, okay? If you're brand new, and how many of you are brand new to psychology, this is going to be new for you. And it doesn't matter whether you're hearing this for the 1000th time or whether you're encountering what I'm telling you for the first time. This is some of the most important information you're ever going to receive. And if you're a parent, how many of you are parents? I'm a parent. I have 2 children. My daughter is 12. My son is 14. So just to kind of put that out there, I'm a mom of 2. And so what I'm about to tell you is how I parent. It guides my parenting, it guides my relationships, it guides how I teach, okay? You're so welcome. Yeah, my little birds are outside singing to you today. Okay, good. Look at that. So if you're a parent, I'm really hoping today is going to help you on your parenting journey because, gosh, it's made a difference for me. And if you're not a parent, if you're an aunt or an uncle or a godparent or just you have neighbor children you take care of, or I don't know, you're a child care provider, that's going to also help you. How many of you are little ones under 18? This is a kid-friendly class. In other words, this is fine for your children to join you if you'd like, because especially if they're between the ages of 10 and 18, they're going to understand what I'm telling you today. And sometimes I have found my kids listen better when it's not me telling them things. Do your kids listen better when it's somebody else? Like if a friend of mine says something, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, Auntie Anna told us this other thing, so we need to really listen to this. But if I tell them the same thing, they're going to be like, you know, they'll listen to other people before they'll listen to me. So if you have your young ones with you today, I just want to say hi. If they are there and your kids are with you, like Roxy's here with us. Hi, Roxy. I want to say hi to your cuties. I love it. And if your kids are older, 40, 20, 19 for Lisa Bennett, right? I'm here for that too. Go grab your kiddos or show them later, because my kids listen better when it's not me telling them that. It's like they need to hear it from somebody else. So if that's the case for you too, right? Okay, so let me start at the very beginning. And thank you to Alexis who printed this out for me so I can show you. And I'm taking you back to the very beginning. Niam is here. Noah and Riley are here. Hi, Noah. Hi, Riley. I'm so happy you guys are here. Look at that. Vanna's here. Vaughn is here. Vienna's here. I got Willow. I got Bodie and Daisy. I have all three of the Wilson Parsons kids here. I'm very excited about that. I got Genevieve and Harry. Who else have I got? I've got Fur Babies here with Brentley. Layla's here. Apollo's here. Oh my goodness. Zach and Caitlin are here. I see you guys. Briella's here and says hello. Estrella's here. Mia's here. Kason's here. Addie's here. Oh, I love it. Ria's here. How are you? Soraya's here. Oh my goodness. Presley's here. Hi, Presley. Zach is here. Maggie and Braden are here. Pink Kitty's here. Hold on. I gotta say hi to everybody because, you know, as a parent, I try to be fair. Evie and Elizabeth are here with Samantha. And Olive's here with Kristen. How are you guys? Mia, Alexi, Guillermo are here. Jan is here. Carolina is here. Priya's here with Michelle. How are you? Blake and Isabella. Fur baby Abby is here. Pets, you know, here's the thing. Your pets need this too, right? My Tricia's here. Kaylin's here. Liberty, Beatrix, and Mr. Kitty are here. Buddy's here. So good, you guys. I'm so happy Rosie's here. And it's okay if your kids are not here. Judith has her husband here, so I have a big child here. Amira's here, who just turned 17. Happy birthday to Amira. Addison is here. Phoebe's here. Lilith's here. Let's get the next generation going, everybody. This is so important. Jonathan says hi. Gigi, Mr. Eskimo, Mr. Pouncer's here. Sandra's here. Bella says hi. I do sound like the Romper Room teacher, don't I? Anyway, welcome to all of you. If I didn't read or speak your name, just know I'm so grateful you're here. Bella and Draco and Abby and Gadiel is here. Lilian, is it Lilian or Lilian? And Isabel, what beautiful names, by the way. Max is here. Okay, so I'm going to start right here, you guys. In 1943, which is the year my mom was born. I know, really crazy, isn't it? Think about that, you guys. 1943. Yeah, we're talking about a long time ago. Maslow created this pyramid, okay? And you might say, well, that looks pretty simple what Maslow came up with. And it is very simple until you really start to think about it. And I'm going to teach you what this pyramid means, and then I'm going to teach you how to connect it to your energy today. Okay? So what Maslow told us, you ready? Is that before you can think about anything else in your life, being happy, being loved, being feeling safe, developing as a spiritual person, before you can do any of that, you need to have your, what he called your physiological needs taken care of, okay? And for our young people, parents are responsible for this, right? So what are the physiological needs? Your need to breathe, your need for food, your need for water, your need for shelter, your need for clothing. You got to put some clothes on. My kids were not always super keen on that, but clothing is good, right? To go out in the world. And your need for sleep. These are your basic human needs. You got to do these things. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to be able to put your clothes on, you got to be able to breathe clean air, right? You got to be able to drink clean water. These are your basic biological needs. And so the reason that Maslow made it the biggest, do you see how that's the biggest part of my pyramid? It's the bottom of the pyramid, right? The reason is you can't live without those things, right? That is what we call your without which not. That is your absolute raison. In French we call it the raison d'être, right? It's your reason for being. It is the absolute primordial requirements for being alive. You're here to breathe, you're here to be safe, you're here to have a home, right, with a roof over your head, and to know that you're going to have clothing and food and all of your basic needs, right? So once we have this covered, then we can think about the other things. Now, this is why some of you, right, you volunteer at shelters, right, at certain times, or you do food drives, or you help people raise money, like we do at Sage Goddess, to make sure they have enough food, they have clean water, they have good air to breathe, they have a roof over their head, because if you don't have those basic things, the rest of it doesn't really happen, right? And we all know that. This is what we call the foundation, and this is in your chakra system. If you think about it, this is what we call the root chakra. The root chakra, the base chakra. This is the root chakra, okay? The root chakra is actually the place where you sit on the floor. Now, if you're little, you're going to laugh at me right now, and you can go ahead and laugh because it is funny. This is your booty. This is your booty shaker. This is your behind, okay? This is where you're sitting on the floor. This is your root. And this is why teachers tell you to sit down, right? Cross your legs. When you're in yoga, when you're doing what we call shavasana, right, which is reconnecting you with the life force, this is when we take a breath and we really lean into the lower chakra of your body. This is what connects you to the planet. This is the core of who you are. And the mantra for this chakra, are they laughing? I'm talking about booties. It's okay to laugh about booties because booties are funny. Booty shakers are funny. Tushies are funny. But where you sit on the floor, in all seriousness, is the first place you get energy on this planet. When you are stressed out, and when you're afraid, or when you feel insecure, the best thing you can do is put your booty on the ground. Go outside and sit down and do crisscross applesauce and take a breath. It grounds all of us into this planet. There's a reason why this is the most comfortable way to sit for all of us, right? Is that connecting that root chakra with the earth grounds us, right? We are electrical beings. You know that, right? So we have an electrical charge running through us. What do you have to do with electricity? You have to ground electricity, right? And so we have to ground our own electrical energy, right? So getting your booty on the floor, right? School teachers know it. It's time to sit down on the mat, right? When we're in preschool and kindergarten, we have a place on the mat that's all ours. We go and sit down, crisscross applesauce, right? Okay, now every one of your chakras has a sound. Are you ready? And your root chakra has a sound too. And the sound is LAM. It's LAM. LAM. Can you say that with me? LAM. So when you feel afraid, when you feel anxious, like you don't know what to do, right, with your energy, you sit down, crisscross applesauce, and you say LAM, 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 LAM. Now, your parents may say that 108 times because we know that there's 108 energy centers in your body. And so when we say those, what we call bija mantras or seed mantras for the chakras, when we say it 108 times, and I know it sounds like 108 times, but when we say it 108 times, we send that sound of comfort, stability, peace, grounding, we send it into every cell in our body. So it calms us down. It helps us to become centered, right? LAM. Can you say it? LAM. LAM, 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 LAM. And if you can't sit crisscross applesauce, I'm going to tell you all that matters is the booty goes to the floor. If you have to spread your legs out, if you have to lay down, booty to the floor. Booty down. Is exactly right. So Kendra, don't worry. If you can't get the whole situation going, just make sure booty is near the floor and you're good. And say LAM, LAM, LAM. If you don't want to say LAM, LAM, all of these seed mantras I'm going to teach you today are in Sanskrit. Okay? If you don't want to say LAM as a syllable, which is easy, but if you don't want to say it, you can say I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And you can say it 108 times. I am safe. 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 Or you can try a different variation. I am home. 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 Or you can say, there's so many different mantras in English you can say, I am grounded. I am grounded. But for some of us as kids, it has a bad connotation because usually you're grounded if you're in trouble. So you can say, I am, what would you say another mantra for your root chakra is? I always say, I am safe. I am welcome. I am welcome. I am welcome. Or you can say, I belong. 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 Right? I belong. I belong. Because you do. You belong here. We all need you. You came here for a really important reason. I belong. I belong. Okay? Now, your next chakra up, once we've taken care of, do you feel safe? Do you feel worthwhile? Do you feel connected to the planet? Do you feel like this is home for you? Once we get all of that sorted out, okay? Then Maslow says we move to safety. Once we know that all of our physiological needs are met. So I have food to eat, I have a place to live, I know who my family is, right? Could be a traditional family, could be a non-traditional family, and that's okay. I am rooted. It's beautiful, Ashley. I love that too. I'm supported. It's beautiful too. Once we have all of that taken care of, then we have to think about creativity, property, family, health, and the work that we do in the world, says Maslow. Okay, so that connects to safety for Maslow. This is what we call the sacral chakra in energy terms. Okay, and this is, instead of saying I belong or I'm safe or I am home, now we're saying I create, I grow, I build, I expand, right? Because once we know we're here for a reason and people love us and they're going to take care of us and we don't have to worry about having a roof over our head or food in our bellies and all of those things, the next thing we need to focus on is, what am I actually here to do? Right? Noah and Riley Miller are here on this world, on this planet, to do very important things. Okay, every one of you is here to do something really unique that's totally different than what I'm here to do, maybe, right? But it's just as important. And so every single one of you is here to do something unique. And I'm going to come back to the ages of the development too. But yes, the root chakra is 0 to 5. Okay, so here's the most important thing to tell you, and I'll come back to this at the end. We decide as human beings if we are safe to be here, if we have a home, if we have parents who love us. We decide that between the ages of 0 and 5. If we don't feel safe by the age of 5, it's hard to ever feel completely safe in life. So it's so important if you have small children, and I focused on this when my babies were young too. I was constantly saying, you're here for a reason. I'm here to guide you. Your dad's here to guide you. We are here to protect you. You're safe. You are loved. You are worthy. Because between 0 and 5, that's all a new life is deciding. Am I worthy of the love that I'm experiencing? Am I safe on this planet? Do I have people who are gonna provide the things I need because I'm too young to do that yet, right? And between the ages of 0 and 5, as we know from child development, we decide as human beings whether or not we feel stable in this lifetime, okay? If we feel that our upbringing is too up and down and we don't know if there's anyone here who loves us or wants us or all of those things, before the age of 5, it disrupts our development as adults. Now, this is not a permanent challenge, because even if you didn't feel this way by the age of 5, you can heal this as an adult. There's never a time when you can't solve this for yourself, okay? If you didn't feel loved, wanted, safe before the age of 5, as an adult, this is a gift you can give yourself. And we do that through mantra, we do that through crystals, we do that through aromatherapy, we do that through journey work, through meditation, and all of these things. But again, if you are raising children, that 0 to 5 period as a parent, what you have to remember is that's your job right there. Your job is to reinforce to these incredible small humans that they are absolutely welcome, wanted, supported, safe, and that you're providing that foundation of the pyramid so that they can continue toward what we call self-actualization, right? So it's never too late to heal. That's the number one message I want you to hear today. So for the littles who are going through this, right, you might be experiencing and saying, oh yeah, I'm going through this right now. For the adults who are here with littles in your life, you might be experiencing, okay, this is what I have to provide. And for those of you who are here as adults working on your own spiritual development, this is where you can lean in and say, I didn't get that. So now what I'm going to do is provide this for myself. And I'm going to tell my inner little girl or my inner little boy that he or she or they are safe, wanted, appreciated, valued. They have a home. They don't need to worry, right? That everything they need is being provided at this time. Does that make sense? It's never too late to heal. I see you, CJ, and I know. And you can help it at any age. I work a lot with adoptive parents, in my work at Sage Goddess. And I have a lot of adoptive parents say, I'm just adopting this child at age 12 or at age 14, and I need to now provide some of that baseline, right? And so this healing can come at any age. That's why I'm doing this class for you today, because it's never too late. And some of us didn't get it. I didn't get all of this when I needed it. I'm just, to be candid with you, some of this I've had to make up for myself. So if you're having to make up some of this for yourself too, I see you, right? The people who raise us do the absolute best they can, and they have a soul contract with us to do what they can do. But the rest of it's up to us, right? So we find the resources when we're ready. We find the information when we can receive it. And that's everything that you need. So today, what I'm going to say to you is, if you're watching this and you're like, I think I still need this support, give it to yourself today. Remind yourself, I'm safe, I'm worthy, I'm loved, I'm creative, I'm expansive, right? And recite the mantras, because that's going to help you. And work with your crystals, which we'll talk about too toward the end of the time together today, right? This is a big deal. And it's interesting because Shannon just said reparenting myself right now. And that's what this is. Some of us are reparenting. And that's okay. It's great, actually. It's fantastic because you can. It is never too late to bring this awareness into your field. And I'm going to tell you something. The results are incredible. This improves your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and your mental health when this gets resolved for you. So I'm really glad that you're here. And if you're adopted, great. Great. I'm sure your adoptive parents did everything they could, and now the rest of it's up to you, right? They got you from A to B, and now you're going to get yourself from B to C, and this is how we move forward. Okay, so back to the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra, we talked about the root chakra, develops between the ages of 0 and 5. And I'm sure you know this from human development, okay? Kids learn right from wrong before they're 5. Should you hit somebody? No, you probably shouldn't. When do kids learn that? Between the ages of 0 and 5, right? We don't hit people. We learn how to control our emotions. We learn how to be gentle with animals. We learn these lessons, most of us, between the ages of 0 and 5. We learn that we have a family. We learn that we have a home. We learn that when we're hungry, there's food, right? These are the things we learn between 0 and 5. These are very basic lessons, but again, if you didn't learn them or receive them, now it's your turn. And you get to bring this wisdom into your own experience. The sacral chakra develops between the ages of 5 and puberty. Puberty. I'm living through puberty. Anybody else living through puberty? Yeah, and that's right. Some may take longer. I'm giving you ballpark averages. Okay, so if you're like, well, I didn't learn it till age 6. Okay. If you know anything about statistics, we have averages, which is what I'm giving you, and then we have what we call, deviations, right, from the mean. So standard deviation would mean most people learn the root chakra stuff 0 to 5. Some people it's 0 to 3. Some people it's 0 to 7, to Annette's point. Statistical deviations, right, from the mean. And so the sacral chakra, ages 6 to 13, if you go through puberty late, could be 15. I went through puberty early. Can I see show of hands? I was through puberty at 11. I was an early bloomer, as they might say. So again, standard deviation, statistical deviation from the mean. Some of you might get your sacral chakra situation settled by the time you're 11, okay? Well, it's called the sacral chakra, Amila, because it's where your sacrum is, right? So it kind of comes from that. Your sacral chakra is situated, if you're female in your anatomy, it's between your ovaries. And if you're male, it's between the testes, right? So all of us have, the organs of procreation. It depends on what equipment you have, but the ovaries and the testes, the sacral chakra sits between those. Yeah, so some people go through puberty very late. Some people go through it very early. Nicole was 9, right, which is definitely on the early side of that statistical deviation. And then 15, 16 is on the higher end of it. My daughter's been a little earlier through it. My son's been a little later through it. Men tend to go through puberty a little later, right, than women. So it kind of depends. And so the sacral chakra mantra for you is VAM. Root was LAM, L-A-M. LAM, 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 LAM. The sacral chakra is VAM. V, 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 right? Like a V sound, VAM. So LAM is the root and VAM is the sacral. So again, it would be VAM, 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 right? I love that Angel Baby said that her husband is still going through puberty. I kind of love that. I really do. So LAM and VAM. And some of us develop earlier than others. Some of us, I was an early bloomer. I was always friends with older kids. Even at like 8, 9, 10 years old, my friends were like 11, 12, 13 years old. So they were constantly introducing me to like what was next. So I always felt like I was 2 steps ahead of kids my age, which probably explains a lot. So VAM is going to be your, what we call the bija mantra, or their seed mantra. Okay, now what Maslow will tell you is once we have made sure you have food to eat and you're safe and you know who you are and what your general creative purpose is, then we move to the 3rd tier of the pyramid called love and belonging. This is Maslow, again, the psychologist, right? And what Maslow has to say is this is friends, family, intimacy, and connection. Now, I would say this is both your solar plexus and your heart. Between your belly button, can you guys find your belly button for me? And your heart chakra. So it's like this foot of real estate is what Maslow is talking about. So once you know you're safe and once you know what you're here to do and how to do it and be creative, you're here now to make connections with other people, get your self-esteem built up. Okay, so you feel good about yourself, you know what you're here to do, you feel empowered to do that thing, whatever it is. This develops between the ages of 14 and 18. My children are on the cusp of this chakra. They're still figuring out what they're here to do and how to be creative and what that means. But they're about to, and when I say my kids are on the cusp of it, they're like literally on the edge of it, of moving into connection with other humans at the heart level, from a place of knowing how they want to experience relationship. This is puberty, okay? I have a blockage here because, and a lot of you know this, I was bullied at this age. And it completely, so if you have an experience of bullying, which I did, it completely, for some people, can stop the growth, okay? This is why bullying is something that we really have to work against. And even if you're a young person, you can tell people, you know what? No. You should not treat people like that, and you should not be unkind. And whether it's virtual or at school or anything else, and I'll tell you something, I've seen a real decrease in bullying in my own circles over the last year because people are getting really, they feel confident saying, we're not going to do that. You know what I mean? We're not going to judge other people. We're not going to put other people down. We're not going to say I'm good and you're not, or any of those things. But children do get bullied, and a bullying can really bring this whole development schema to a stop. And it's very important to at least know what's going on in your kids' lives. And if you sense there's bullying or anything else, or any other kinds of challenges, abuse, or any kind of wounding at this age can stop this whole pyramid from forming. And it did for me at this age. So I share this with you because it gives you a language and a vocabulary. If you're very young, it reminds you people don't have the right to be unkind to you. You are worthy of respect. People should treat you with respect. And if they're not, you have a right to say, you know what? I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of being treated nicely and not to be talked to like that. And if you are experiencing anything like that, you should tell your parents, you should tell your caregivers, because there's something they can do about it. At my age, I didn't feel like I had anybody I could tell. And so I kind of kept it to myself. And at the time that seemed like the right thing to do, but I wish I had told more people what I was experiencing. Talk to adults if you're seeing, and here's what I'm going to tell you too. If you're seeing people bully other kids, speak up for that too. You can be the person that says, no, you're not going to treat that person that way. You are not going to be unkind. You are not going to judge that person. And you can be the one to say, that's not okay. And you can be the one to go to your teacher or to the principal or to someone at your school and say, I saw this and it's not okay for me. Unfortunately, in my case, nobody did that. Other kids didn't do it, adults didn't do it, and so it became a very personal experience for me. I would have loved to have had somebody stand up for me. It just didn't happen back in the 80s. But we're much more aware of that now, and so I think if you're a young person and you see one of your friends being bullied, you stand right up and you tell them, Aunt Athena told you it's okay to say that's not okay, because Aunt Athena will come right behind you and tell them it's not okay, and so will your parents and your loved ones, because we want everybody to feel good about themselves, as you should at these ages, and so that you can move forward and have a happy and healthy life. These are very, very important things. If you judge yourself, that's a different matter. At this age, here's what I'm going to tell you. At this age, 0 to 14, most kids don't judge themselves. A lot of kids don't even know to judge themselves until somebody else judges them. And then all of a sudden they think, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm different. Most kids, until you tell them there's something different about them, they don't even know. Because kids are free. They don't realize there's something different, right? So, and they can learn to appreciate what's different about them, but if they're being bullied, it is okay to stand up and say, at least in my opinion, no, my friend deserves better than this. My friend needs support. My friend should not feel this way. My friend should not be crying. You need to help my friend. It's okay to be vocal about that. Yeah, and even as adults, we bully each other, but as adults, we have more resources. Remember, our younger beloveds often don't know how to respond. As adults, we have more of our throat chakra active, which I'm going to teach you in just a minute, but a lot of the young people don't know. I didn't know it was okay to say, this is not okay. I didn't know that because I was too young. If I'd been 25, 35, 45, it wouldn't have happened. But at the age I was, which was 11, I didn't know. I thought everybody went through it. You just don't know what you don't know. So my recommendation is talk to young people in their life, ask them how it's going. If they say, I'm fine, but my friend is struggling, give them some tools to be able to also be an ally and a source of support for people, right? Because it's very important. And no matter who you're being bullied by, right? Whether it's a family member or someone at school or whatever it is, I'm going to speak to the adults directly for a second. Everybody has the right to sovereignty. Okay? If you are alive on this planet, you are here for a reason, and it is an important reason. You're not here by accident. And so whether you are 12, 22, 32, 42, 52, 62, 72, 82, or whatever, immediately you have to call in your sovereignty, and you have to stand up for that sovereignty. I would give anything to go back to 1984, which is when my bullying happened, and grab that little Athena and scoop her up and take her into the principal's office and tell them everything I would like to say, but that didn't happen for me. And so what we can do now as we're healing is we can do this for other people, and that's why I spend time on it. It's very, very important. So the solar plexus mantra, and it's so important, and you need to teach your teenagers this. And I'm talking about starting at age 9, truly, because if you think about this, all of this work is happening between the ages of 14 and 18, but it can start as early as 9. The mantra is, are you ready? Ram. 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 And do you know why it's Ram? Ram, Ram, Ram. Say it, it's like growling. Rar. Ram. Ra is the god of the sun in ancient Egypt. And so the sun is Ra. The sun is this big planet, right? It's the biggest in our solar system. So Ram, when you say it, sometimes I go outside and literally just go Ram. Woo, and pull that energy in, because my solar plexus was so wounded at the age of 11 that by the time I got to 13, 14, 15, I couldn't fix it myself. So even now, I pull that sun energy down and I, right? Ram. Ra, right? It's that sun god. It's pulling that energy in. And it's never too late to heal it. Because your solar plexus is everything. Your solar plexus is confidence, it's power, it's I have the ability to overcome this. And if you think about it, as an adult, this is the most important capacity you hold. As an adult, you're going to be at a meeting where somebody tells you they don't like your idea, or it's not good enough, or why did you do that, or they're going to tell you, well, I don't think that's the right decision, or I don't think that's the right choice, or you should have thought about that more. And it's going to hit you, right? Ram. And so what you can do is after that meeting, go in the bathroom and Ram. Pull that sun into your solar plexus and remind yourself that you're coming from a place of power and a place of strength. And kids love it. They go, rah, right? Like, let that power flow. A lot of us feel stuck here. It's like, you're powerful, you're wise, you have judgment and confidence, and you should feel strong going out into the world, right? So Ram. And it's okay to say it loud and proud, because I think that's the healing, right, that needs to happen. I really, really do. And I will tell you that the people who bullied me when I was young have all come back into my life. The main person who bullied me, I actually expressed to that person that at the time, this was like 10 years ago, I told that person that I was not yet able to forgive, because I really do think that person understood what was happening, and I was not ready to forgive yet. And I'm getting closer now. But every other person who bullied me in middle school has come back into my life in some way, and most of them have come back needing something. Needing my support, or needing me to help them with something, and it's interesting. The universe gives you these opportunities to forgive and to experience people again and to realize they're human, and it's been a real healing for me too. But the right? And I'll tell you something, if I hadn't been bullied, I probably wouldn't be able to sit here in front of you. Truthfully. The reason I can teach anything to anybody publicly with a total sense of confidence, think about what it takes. I'm here teaching this class on YouTube. Anybody can join, right? I have a community with Sage Goddess of 1.5 million people in every country and continent around the world. When I go live, 1 million people see it. It takes a lot of confidence to do that. For somebody who was bullied, for me to be able to do this, this is my healing, right? Because I've said, Ram, right? It is, Rah! But I've been able to heal this, and that's why I'm telling you, you can too. There's nothing you can't rise above. But I think the most important thing we can do at the solar plexus is remind ourselves we're powerful, we're strong, we have personal will, and there's nothing we can't overcome. And we can stick up for people when we see other people being bullied, whether it's online. If you see people being bullied online, get in there and fix that. You tell people to stop it and knock it off. I'm serious. You have the opportunity to fix this. No one should bully another human being. And you can remember, that's your mantra, right? Okay. Now, what Maslow would say is we're halfway there. We feel safe and we feel welcome on this planet. We feel we have friends and family, and we know that we have kind of a network of people who are going to take care of us. The next thing is we have to build confidence, respect for others, and esteem. And this comes from the heart. This comes from the heart. Everything I've just described to you is from your belly button down, okay? Everything I'm about to talk to you about is from your heart up. You know your heart's over here, right? Your heart is what guides love. It's what guides intimacy. It's what guides your relationships, right? But if you think about it, you can't have really great relationships if you feel insecure, if you feel afraid, if you don't feel like you know what your purpose is. It's really hard to connect from your heart because, like, who are you, right? Which is why, for me, being bullied stunted my relationships because I was afraid to be vulnerable with people. I thought I was going to get hurt. So I had to heal that before I could open my heart to love. Does that make sense? So these are all connected, right? To healing the bottom of the pyramid heals the top of the pyramid, and now we're at the top of the pyramid. So your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, and your root chakra are below. Your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown are above. So let's split you in half. And so now we are right here. How do you develop this sense of the heart chakra and self-esteem? Probably won't surprise you. Ages 18 to 25 is when this happens. Don't you think? I taught 18-year-olds for 10 years. Not quite 10 years. I taught 18-year-olds from 1996 to 2005. That's 9 years. I loved teaching 18-year-olds, freshmen in college, because they've left their parents' house for the first time, and now they're like rah! They're gonna party, they're gonna be free, they're gonna make their own rules, right? But they're also learning how to connect with other people at the level of the heart for the first time, without adults saying, do this, don't do that, watch out for this, don't, you know what I mean? Like, they're making their own decisions. This is adulthood, right? If you had trauma around this age or at any of these ages, what I'm going to tell you is, because that's why I was telling you I had trauma at the solar plexus, right? And my trauma, being incredibly bullied, stunted my growth for about 2 years. I was about 2 years behind everybody else because of how much pain I went through. If you didn't have pain before the age of 18, but you had pain around the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, that could have stopped you here at the development of the heart chakra. This is very important. So it's important for you to know, did you have any challenges at this age, 18, 19, 20 to 25? because it could have pushed a little pause button here and made it a little bit difficult for you to move through this phase of Maslow's hierarchy, okay, which is how you connect with other people. Now, I didn't have trauma here. I had trauma earlier. So by the time I healed it, I was just a little bit behind this phase, right? Yeah, so this is you will know whether this is an area of focus and challenge for you or not. The heart chakra mantra looks like the word yam, Y-A-M, but it's not. It's yam. So I'm going to tell you it's Y-A-M, but if you pronounce it yam, I am going to laugh a little bit. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. It's yam. Are you ready? Yam, 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 yam. It's not yam, 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 yam. That's right. Lam, thom, ram. Remember that solar plexus is the sun. Ram. And then it's yam, but not yam at the heart chakra. It'll help you remember it. She'll say, you guys will say later, which one was the one that she said sounds like yam, but isn't yam? It's yam, heart chakra. I've got you. I'm helping you memorize this right now, right? Kapur it right out. That's right, William. Yam Kapur. However you need to remember it, whatever helps you. That's right. So we're talking about the heart chakra right now. I love yams. I do. So if that's an easy way for you to remember it, it's your sweet potato that isn't your sweet potato. I got your sweet potato. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. So, but in all seriousness, this is, if you think about it, between the ages of 18 and 25 is when most of us have the big first love, right? Now I had my big first love. I met my big first love in 1988. I was 15. Is that right? Yeah. I was 15 when I met the big one, the first big one, right? So I was a little bit, but again, remember, I went through puberty early, so by the time I found my big one at 15, I was early. Most people meet the big first love at 18 to 25, and that's when they begin to find that person. If you're younger, you're probably going, oh, this is so gross. Why are you talking about this? But we have to, because at some point, you will encounter this person who's like really important to you. And when that first connection happens, which for some people is the last connection. Actually, I was 14. It was 1987. I'm sorry, it wasn't 88. It was 1987. I was born in 73. Well, I was 14. Was it so 14, 15? If you're in that zone, that's kind of where I was. I was freshman year of high school. In fact, it was our first away football game. And I was on the flag team, so we were going to cheer for the football players. And I remember I was getting on the bus to go to our first away game. I was 14. And I turned around and saw this human being. And the rest is history, right? You see that person and you're like, oh my goodness, that's the thing everybody's been warning me about, right? Yeah. And if you're a lot older than me, you're like, wow, 1987 seems like it's 100 years ago. And that's okay. I am almost 50. I feel like I'm 14, but I'm not anymore. Anyway, my big heart thumping moment was then, and but for everybody else, it's usually 15 to, or 14 to 18. Okay. So that is the moment when you realize that it's possible for someone else on this planet to hold part of your heart. That's the moment most of us realize that. Like, oh, this other person, whether it's male or female or somewhere in between, could actually hold part of my heart. It's like, ooh, look at that, right? And so that is your yam moment. That's your yam. That's your sweet potato moment. And so that is the sacral chakra. I'm sorry, the heart chakra. And so that's when you open to the idea of love, right? An expression of love, the possibility that your heart can exist outside of you. And I actually think these moments, those of you who are parents can kind of see if this resonates with you. Once you recognize that another human being could hold your heart, it prepares you for parenting, doesn't it? I remember looking at this man, and thinking to myself, he holds part of my heart outside of my own body. And when I had my children, I felt the same thing, like, wow, they hold part of my heart, but outside of me. Like these are other people in the world who have part of my soul connected to them, right? So I think it's a very important moment, but again, if you have trauma during these ages, it's important now to go in with your Yam mantra, heal your heart. There are crystals to heal your heart, because if you have heartbreak at this age, it can make it difficult for you to progress onto the next stage. And the next stage is very important. So if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, okay, physiological needs, do I have food, shelter? Safety needs, am I physically and emotionally safe to be with these humans who are living with me? Okay. Love and belonging needs, are they taking care of me? Do I feel like I'm developing a sense of myself separate from them, right? Esteem needs, do I feel confident interacting with other human beings? And can I identify when someone is holding my heart outside of me, and do I feel safe doing that? And then we get to the last stage, which is called self-actualization. Now, there are 7 chakras. I'm going to tell you, this is my personal theory, okay? I think this is root, sacral, solar, heart. And I think the 5th, the top of the pyramid, is actually throat, third eye, and soul star. Does that make sense? I think that the top 3 chakras are condensed into, throat, third eye, and crown. I think the top 3 chakras are condensed into that self-actualization part of Maslow's pyramid. Because becoming an adult, becoming a human being, once you know you're safe, and you know who you are, and you know that you're loved and capable of love, and you have self-esteem, once you have all of that in place, then you need to be able to speak authentically. You need to be able to trust your vision and understand that you came from a divine source. That's growing up. I know what my voice sounds like, and it's important to speak my truth, right, to the people who need to hear it, including me. I trust that intuition that's guiding me in this world, and I think it's accurate. And then at your crown chakra, I believe that there's a creator that created me and created you with intention. And so those 3 things, knowing and trusting my voice, knowing and trusting my vision, and knowing and trusting in a creator. It doesn't matter how you perceive that, right? It could be, if you're Christian, you know, if you practice Judaism, God sounds familiar to you. If you're following more of a Buddhist path and trajectory, then you have a different set of archetypes, right? If you're following an Islamic path and tradition, you have a different set of archetypes. But do you believe that there's a force greater than you in the world that decided you should be here and continues to guide you from up above, whether you call it God or your spirit guides or source or Allah or the Buddha or, you know, whatever you call it? Because for me, those are all different names for the same thing. For me, there's one source. But if you're born in India, it has a different name than it does if you're born in Nepal. And if you're born in Nepal, it has probably a different name than if you're born in Bahrain. And if you're born in Bahrain, it might go by a slightly different name than if you're born in Southern California. You know what I mean? Like, there are people in this world who've never heard the word Jesus before. Is that is that an issue? No, that's not what they call their source creator. They call it by some other name. So I call these avatars, right? We have different names to describe the same force. There is a source creator that brought you here, that when you were born, breathed life into you. And people call that different things. When my kids were little, they were like, what's an Allah? And it's like, well, an Allah is a different way of thinking about God. Like, oh, okay. Kids get it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they call it Allah. I call it God, or, oh, they call it the Buddha, or I call it this. But kids can really understand that. It's a lot of times adults who don't really understand that we have different names for this force, right? So that's something to think about too. However you call it, the most important thing to self-actualize, according to Maslow, you've got to trust your inner vision. You have to speak your truth, and you've got to trust that there's something bigger than you. Something that made this tree outside. Something that animated that beautiful bird to sing. Something that gets me up every morning and keeps my heart pumping blood through my body, right? Something that continues to grow these crops and to animate this planet and to keep these rivers flowing. And there is a force that moves through all of us that has these properties, right? So now what's interesting is this: the throat chakra sounds like ham, but it's not. It's hum. Remember, sounds like yam, but it's not. It's yam. Yam, hum. Yam, hum. Yum, hum. Yum, yum, yum. Hum, hum, hum. Okay? And then above this, the third eye and the crown, you know what the seed mantras are? You ready? Om. 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 O-M. Say it with me. Om. 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 Do you know what Om is? O-M? It's the sound of the name of the Creator. It really is. Om. It starts with Ah, traditionally. Om. And it sounds funny, but it is the sound of the name of the force that gave you life, that brought you to your mother. Om. Right? So good. For both the third eye and the crown, it is Om. Beautiful, isn't it? So let's do it together, and then I'm going to take your questions. That's for third eye and for crown. Remember, third eye is let's go through the English mantras too. Ready? The root chakra is really ultimately at the core of it is the I am. And the sacral chakra is I create or I feel, right? Between the ovaries and the testes. And the solar plexus is I will or I do. And the heart is I love. And the throat is I speak. And the third eye is I see. And the crown is I understand. I connect. I am. I create. I will. I love. I speak. I see. I understand. And if you can say all of that with a sense of authenticity, say it with me. Say it with me one more time. The mantras, by the way, Bufnita, come from the Vedas. The Rig Veda is the oldest spiritual text on the planet. Google VEDAS. That's where the chakra practice comes from. That's where the yoga practice comes from. It is the oldest spiritual text. It predates the Bible. It predates any spiritual text on the planet. I wrote The Ultimate Guide to Chakras, which is one of the best-selling books on the chakra system ever written. And it's been translated into 7 languages. It's been translated into Spanish. It's been translated into French, both France French and Quebec French. It's been translated into Mandarin. It's being translated right now into Cambodian, which is very exciting. So you can find my Ultimate Guide to Chakras on Amazon and in around the world in all the different languages. I'm very proud of that. And so you can find more of this in my books. But let's do it together one time really quickly, and then I want to see if you have any questions. So the root is I am, right? Be still and know that I am, right? From the Bible, be still and know that I am. I am is the root, right? It's the core of who you are. I am safe. I am worthy of being here. I am connected to the planet, right? And then the root or the sacral again is I create, right? I feel. The solar plexus is I do or I will. The heart is I love. The throat is I express or I speak, because this is where we articulate, right? And then the third eye is I see. And the crown is I know. I understand, right? The aho of the Lakota tradition is the crown chakra, right? It's so good. So let's do one more round. I am. I create. I will. I love. I express. I see. I know. And when you can say all of that with conviction, you know that you have activated the root, the sacral, the solar, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And that's how you know you're on the pathway to healing. And if you're young, what I will tell you is the throat chakra, in my experience, is the 20s and 30s. Don't you think? You're learning how to express your truth because you're still figuring out what your truth is. In my experience, the third eye, your intuition, really doesn't fully finish developing until you're in your 40s, sometimes in your 50s. You don't really trust it until your 40s and 50s. When you're in your 30s, you're like, oh, my intuition, right? But when you're 40s, you're like, my intuition is telling me not to go to that party, and I'm not going. And by the time you're in your 50s, you're like, I shouldn't even talk to that person because you trust your intuition so much. And then after your second solar return at ages 58 to 60 is when the crown chakra finishes its development. And that's when you really know who you are, why you're here. I'm not there yet. I'm at the end of the development of my third eye right now. My psychic gifts are coming to their completion at close to 50 years old. And I think by the time I get to my Saturn return, my second one, my first Saturn return was early. I hit it at about 26 years old. It's not supposed to hit till 29, so I imagine at 56, which is about 7 years from now, I'll hit my second Saturn return and finish the development of my crown chakra. And if we're all lucky to live that long, we get to experience the full completion of this cycle, right? So yeah, your first Saturn return corresponds with the development of your throat chakra. The first Saturn return, 26, 27, 28, 29 years old, when you want to break all the rules. And you should. I broke all the rules. And then your second Saturn return, 56, 57, 58, 59, completes the development of your crown chakra. And by then, you know who you are, what your voice sounds like, and who God is for you. And then after that, it's liberation, right? So that's Saturn return. Saturn return happens 3 times. If you're lucky to live to age 90, you'll have 3 Saturn returns. The first one is when we really make all of our big mistakes, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. They're not really mistakes, but people either get married or get divorced. They either stay where they are or move to a totally different country. I watch people online and social media go through their Saturn returns, and a lot of times I think they don't know they're going through them. but they're having a big breakup, they're getting married, they're getting divorced, they're getting pregnant, they don't ever want to have children, they're finding a new career, they're dropping out of graduate. I mean, I watch the 26 to 30-year-olds in my life, and I'm like, has anyone told them they're having a Saturn return? Like, part of me wants to, and I never give advice, so I don't reach out, but I'm always like, I don't think she knows she's in her Saturn return. And then again, 56, 57, 58, 59 is, do I know what God looks like in my life? Have I learned to trust the voice of God in my life? Whether, it doesn't matter what you call God. Source, God, Goddess, Joe Bob, whatever you call God. There is a force greater than you that gave you life. Whatever you decide to call it, do you know what it looks like, and do you recognize its voice? That's your late 50s. And then if you're lucky enough to get to age 90, you go through a third Saturn return at 86, 87, 88, 89. Women in my family don't get to the third Saturn return. I've never had an ancestor get to the third, so I'm not expecting to get to a third or even desiring that. I'll be really happy if I get through 2 in a few more decades, but if I do get to my third Saturn return, it'll be the first person in my family to get there. Everybody seems to eject right around 82, 83, 84, 85. And I think it's because they don't want to go through that third Saturn return. I hope this was helpful for you. This was my fastest possible 90-minute introduction to chakras and human development to help you understand where you are, who you are, and where you're going. And I'm happy to repeat the mantras for you too. Do you have any other questions before I sign off? Saturn returns are not delayed because it's astrological. So Saturn returns every 30 years to the place it was where you were born. But for some people like me, it's early. For other people, it's late. But it happens to everybody in that, 26, 27, 28, 29, 56, 57, 58, 59. Yeah. I am, I create, I do, I speak, I love, I understand. And in the Sanskrit, it's Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, and Om Om at the third eye in the crown. Yeah. So what we have for you at sagegoddess.com, if you would like, is we have gemstone duos for each of the chakras. Did you see these today? Oops. They're flying all over the place. The duos are $2.50, and then they're 20% off. Your code is 20green for 20% off at sagegoddess.com. So if you're working on your root chakra, we have garnet and red aventurine. If you're working on your sacral chakra, we have sunstone and carnelian. If you're working on your solar plexus, which I forever am, it's tiger's eye and yellow aventurine. If you're working on your heart, it's rose quartz and chrysoprase. Aren't they pretty together? You can get all of the duos if you want. If you're a crystal healer, you should probably get all of them, because if you get all 7 duos, it's still under $20, which is pretty cool. And then if you're working on your throat chakra, it's amazonite and angelite. If you're working on your third eye, it's sodalite and labradorite. And then if you're working on your crown, it's lepidolite and amethyst. So it's $2.50 a duo, and then 20% off. So it works out to be like, I think it's like $2.25 a duo, which is pretty cool. So it's just over $1 a stone. It'll help you build out your collection. And if you're a crystal healer, the reason I did duos is if you're working with a client and they need root chakra help, these should be in their hands. 1 stone in each hand. Because you have so many chakras in the palm of your hand that when you work with the crystals, it sends the energy through your entire energy field. So if I talked about one chakra tonight that you really felt like, oh, I got to work on the root, or for me it's always the solar plexus, just get that duo for $2.25, right? When you shop at sagegoddess.com, you're going to get a free perfume sample and some other little goodies and postcards and things. It'll be like, we call it magical mail, if you're new. So this is kind of a fun way to start with crystal healing. Crystals heal the chakras without you needing to do anything, because they raise a frequency of that energy to be able to balance and align. Now, you can also take the stones and literally place them on the chakras too. Your root chakra is your connection to the earth. So that's around the area of the perineum. Your sacral chakra is between the ovaries and the testes, which is right down here. Your solar plexus is 2 finger widths above your belly button, so that's going to be right around here. The heart chakra is literally at the heart, although you can place one on each side, or just hold them in the vertical line near the heart chakra. The throat is right here, near the thyroid, right, at the Adam's apple. The third eye is right here between your eyebrows. And then the crown is remember your soft spot? If you've had children, that's the crown. So that's the soft spot on the top of your head, and that's where you'd want to place your crown chakra stones, right? Throat chakra mantra is Ham. Remember I told you it sounds like ham, but it's not. It's spelled H-A-M, but it's Ham. Ham. And keep in mind, there's so much history behind these, you guys. Do you know what the word for 5 is in Arabic? I love linguistics and language. Hamza means 5 in Arabic, right? Because that's the number of the hands on the finger. Like you've seen the Hamza symbol. I have it hanging in my crystal room, right? It's the hand. Hamza means 5. The throat chakra is the 5th chakra. So it's the Ham, which means 5. Isn't that cool? Third eye is 6 and crown is 7. So the easy way to remember it is Ra is your fire chakra, right? That's your solar plexus. That's the fire in your belly, right? And Hamza is the 5th chakra. So that is your throat chakra. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, so sacral chakra mantra is the VAM, V-A-M, VAM. So it goes Lam is your root, Vam is your sacral chakra, Ram, Ra, right? The sun god in the Egyptian tradition. And then you go to your heart is Yam, the throat is Ham, right? From Hamza. And then it goes to Om and Om. I'm so glad this is helpful. Janisa says, Athena, what would you say that the soul star chakra develops after the ages of 60 up to 90? I would. I mean, it's not like our work is done once we get to age 55 or 60. Our ancestors did not have the lifespan that we do. You know that, right? Our ancestors didn't expect to live as long as we do. They didn't have the technology, the tools, the lifestyle, the health that we enjoy. So life expectancy used to be a little bit lower, but now that we're living into these later decades, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, I do think it's about connecting with the angels and the Akashic wisdom and those upper realms of understanding, right? The people I know in their 60s and 70s are my greatest teachers. And I'm always grateful when they're patient with me, because my concerns at almost 50 to them still seem like kind of silly. Like, really? You're still worried about that? It's like, well, but I'm not 50 yet, you know? But I have friends in their 60s and 70s, and they're like, Athena, it gets so much better after your second Saturn return. And I'm like, okay, you know, I take their word for it. So, and I love my age. You know, people always, I had somebody write it and they're like, I can't believe you tell people how old you are, that you're going to be 48 in August, and I can't believe that. That was like, I mean, I think of myself as pretty young. I know it's crazy. I mean, if you're in your 20s, I probably seem really old, but I feel really young, and I think that it's all a matter of perspective. But I do think once you get past that second Saturn return and through, for women, the menopause process, I do think you open to a whole new level and layer of wisdom. I really, really do. Do having breast implants block your chakras? No, you can't block it. I mean, you can, but that doesn't block it. Energy has a way of, I mean, I don't have implants, but I have a lot of clients who do, and energy has a way of moving around them, in my experience, yeah. Well, thank you for that. And for me, it's like, I had my friend Yasmina on Instagram for an interview last week, and she's in her mid-60s, and I think she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever known. So I look at her as like, I can't wait to be in my 60s, right? Like, she's so grounded and knows who she is and doesn't struggle with as many of the things that the rest of us do, right? Because she's been through her second Saturn return, and there's an incredible wisdom that comes, right? So Earth Star, it's a great question from Siren of the Void. When does the Earth Star form? You know what I think? Anybody want to wager a guess what I think? I have a perspective. I think your soul star develops after your second Saturn return, for as long as you're lucky enough to be on this planet. And I think your Earth Star chakra forms in utero. I have some pain that I carry from before I came to this planet. Anybody else have that you're aware of? I have some wounding that I brought here. And so by the time I came here as a baby, I already had some baggage. So, so for me, it's about what happens before you actually, take that first breath. That first breath begins the process of developing the root. But, before that first breath is when it's our tether to what came before. Because remember, the Earth Star is what connects you to the bones, to the crystals, to the core of the planet, to the vortex places and the ley lines and the history and everything, right? So it's everything leading up to that first breath that you take when you get out of the water, right? Yeah. So for me, that's a big deal. And a lot of us carry wounding from that time. And it's again, I do want to say this before I let you go today. And I want to say again how grateful I am that you were here and how much I hope this was helpful for you. When I teach these free classes, it's because people have asked me to talk about this for a long time, and I don't want to just keep this wisdom for my students. I teach online classes. If you're ever wanting to learn more from me, sagegoddess.com/programs is where you can go. I teach 2 classes online. One's like a big class called Soul Shift Alchemize, which is a life transformation seminar, and then the other one is a smaller class called Crystal Masters. And be sure also, I should say while you're here, that you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, because you'll get notified about future offerings. I'm teaching a free class on May 18th. Did you see about that one? We actually have a set of tools in the shop for that. I'm teaching you symbology, all the sacred symbols from different traditions, and then you're going to be putting your own symbols on these little wooden discs to create your own runes on May 18th. But we're half sold out of the tools for that class, so if you'd like those, when you're getting your chakra duos at sagegoddess.com, you may want to get those too, and make sure you've RSVP'd for that May 18th event too. Team SG is putting the information in the feed too, so if you just want to click on the link, you can go there too. You have 6 pages of notes, Cindy Walsh? Holy smokes! That's awesome. I love that so much. Yeah, the next Crystal Masters meets every second Wednesday of the month. But, so you can always go back and do the previous months if you want, or you can start fresh with us in May, which would be beautiful too. We're doing a prosperity grid in Crystal Masters in May. I'm so excited. So you'll be just in time for that. You're on page 5, Paige? Look at that. Well, I'm glad. I hope this was helpful for you. I do free full moon ritual, free new moon ritual, free high holiday ritual, Beltane, spring equinox, all of that, and then free online classes like this one. So that's why, it's at least 3 hours a month that's free on YouTube. So that's why it's really important to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on anything that we do. But that was my intention for and especially for this one to be free, because I think there's certain wisdom that should be universal. And a lot of us came in with some wounding already, right? And it's my main message to you, and I hope you heard it tonight, is it's never too late to heal. You can start healing now. And it doesn't matter who your parents were or what you went through. My theory is, I'll say this. No matter what your experience was like growing up, your parents are human, right? They probably did the best they could with what they had and what they knew at the time. And now the process begins with you. What are you going to do? How are you going to heal? How are you going to grow? And it becomes a choice. Do we want to move forward and progress and shift and change? Or do we want to stay stuck in old patterns and just say, well, coulda, woulda, shoulda, had better, whatever. But it isn't, for me, it's never a process of looking back and saying, I wish I'd had this, that, or the other. It's a process of looking forward and saying, how can I bring that to myself now? And especially because I have children, I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to make sure they have what they need, which requires me to be whole and healed and integrated and well and all of that stuff too. So Paige says, my first question is, how am I going to heal? It's one step at a time. It's starting where you are now. And the mantras I've taught you tonight, the crystals I've shown you tonight, is where you begin. You hold your crystals and recite your mantra. I mean, literally every single day, if you've got a root chakra challenge, you should be holding garnet and red aventurine. That's why I put them in the shop for $2, and saying, your root chakra mantra, Lam, 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 and I would do it 108 times a day. And what you're saying when you say Lam is, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe, Lam, 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 Lam. And the message that sends to your entire central nervous system is of stability and strength and the capacity to move forward. And this is how we heal. But a lot of people prefer to go and say, well, I'm still angry at my parents, or I didn't get what I wanted, or this, that, and the other. I am not from that school. The school I'm from, and I'll just be candid with you, I think it's really important to love where you came from. I really do. And I know that's really hard because for some people where they came from was a painful place. But if you can find a way to breathe love into that space, and to see the people who brought you to this planet as human, with their own genetic story, their own childhood story, their own challenges, if you can see them with compassion, I promise you that's the beginning of the healing journey. I look at my parents as these amazing human beings. My parents had hard lives, and I mean hard. I mean, we all think we have it hard because, we've been through COVID or whatever. We don't have it hard. I mean, by my ancestral standards, where there was no food, where their villages were bombed, where they lost all of their children, you know what I mean? Like, I can't complain. I have to look and just say thank you. And then whatever energetic challenges I have to reconcile those in the present time. But I completely look at my parents with so much gratitude because even with COVID, even with MS, even with all the challenges I've faced in my 48 years on this planet, I have not been through a quarter of what my parents went through. Not even a quarter. And I haven't even been through a 10th of what my grandparents went through. So every single day before I go to bed, I just say thank you. And every time I see my parents, I just tell them thank you. I cannot believe. As an adult now, I just look at you guys as an absolute miracle. I'm so thankful that you did what you did. And, was it perfect? No, but I'm sure I'm not doing a perfect job with my kids either. But holy smokes, you guys, I literally just bow to them. Because if I think my life is challenging in the last year, I need to rethink that. And for a lot of us, we could look at that too and say, my grandmother was born in 1917, the year before the Spanish flu started. She was an infant when that was going around the first time. But she faced so much more hardship in her life that she never mentioned it before she died 25 years ago. It wasn't even on her radar as one of the most challenging times of her life. And yet, as an infant, she lived through the Spanish flu. And what did her mother go through with an infant during that time, right? I mean, these are the things that I think about. So I think it's, if there's a possible way for you to look at your genetics through the lens of compassion, I think that's a pathway to healing. I'm just in awe of what my parents and grandparents did, and I'm forever grateful. Could they have done better? Sure, but honestly, would I have done better? Probably not. I honestly don't think I could have done a better job than my parents and grandparents did under the same circumstances. I don't know how I would have made it. My grandfather went off to war. Her entire village was destroyed while he was away in war. And she had 6 children under the age of 10 or 12 years old. My dad was the youngest, and she carried him on her lap on a truck as an infant, not knowing where her husband was and not knowing if they would have any place to live or food to eat. And that was the last generation. So am I going to complain about being quarantined for a year with enough food to eat? I'm not going to complain about that, because I think that would be a disservice to her. I think she would look at me and say, right? Now, this is different, right? So Carol says, what if you experienced abuse? That's different, Carol. And that'll become a question for you of how you're going to navigate that, right? The choices that our relations make and the experiences that we had. I'm just speaking to my experience, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of people look at this past year and they see hardship and, oh, I lost my job or whatever. And it's like, I can't complain. You know what I mean? I didn't have to take my 6 kids and sort it out. You know what I mean? Like, that woman was strong as nails to me. So in honor of her, I have to carry on and keep going and be optimistic and find a way to laugh, because I think she would have traded places with me in a heartbeat, right? Yeah, and my grandfather did come back, but he was never the same. You know, and then he died, and she lived on without him for quite a few years. And, you know, we just have to give thanks to these people who were strong as steel and did the best they could with what they had at the time. Thanks, you guys. I'm so glad you were here. Well, thank you for staying. We almost went for 2 hours today. Thank you all for staying here for that long. So the next class on May 18th is, do I have my goodies to show you? I always have goodies to show you. Oh, I do. Okay. So on May 18th, and the tools are optional, but I'm teaching you basically the history of symbols. I'm going to teach you Atlantean symbols, Egyptian symbols. I'm going to teach you how to make a symbol for your name called a sigil. And then the tools, if you want them, they're optional, is a little set of these wooden discs with a paint pen, and then you get a velvet bag and a postcard to write down like what all your symbols mean. So you're going to choose 12 symbols and write them, put the symbol on your disc, and then you're going to put your discs in your velvet bag, and each day you're going to choose a symbol to guide you. But you're going to write your own symbols, but I'm going to teach you symbology, and that's May 18th here on YouTube. So you can do it with the tools or without the tools. The tools are optional, but the team will post the link for you if you like them. I love you guys too. Charlene says she's had 7 hours of sleep in the past 24 hours. How are you even awake right now? I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I hope this moved the needle for you a little bit in your own healing process. And if you're raising the next generation, you know, I teach my kids. I have their grandparents' pictures are hanging here in my crystal room. You're in my home right now if you're new, by the way. And right over here in this little room are pictures of their great-grandparents. And I take my kids in there and I say, you see her? You see him? You see her? That's what they did to get you here. And those are their names. And I have them say their names, and we talk about them, you know, because in my tradition, that's what keeps everybody alive, you know? And it's like, they worked hard to bring you here. I have nothing to complain about. I stand on big shoulders. I really do. Truly, I do. All right, you guys, cheers. Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your night. Team SG, have a beautiful night as well. And don't forget, we have full moon ritual. It's a full moon in Scorpio, baby, happening on Monday at 6 p.m. So I'll be live with you on YouTube for all of that excitement. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your evening. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you for our next free class on May 18th when we work on symbols. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to hold the space for you tonight.